welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. I hope you are having a great Sunday so far. As always, I'll have a guest over with me whose book I have recently read and enjoyed. Stay tuned, it's going to be a really fun episode, and I'm really excited to talk to today's guest because she is someone I have really admired from the time I have got to know about her. And fortunately, I also got the opportunity to befriend her and get to know her better over the course of the last couple of years, and I'm really excited to talk to her because her recent book is an adaptation of Shakespeare's best plays, and reading those plays has given me a better understanding of the bard's works, and I want to know how she went about doing it. So without further ado, I'm going to add her to today's live and begin today's episode. Stay tuned. Hello. Hi, Deepti.
Hello, hi Manali.
So good to see you. I was just telling everyone that, I'm really excited I have really enjoyed your writings over the past couple of years. And I have read two of your books now. And you already know how much I loved your previous book. I have also listed it out in a lot of my, book recommendation list. And reading your second book was equally fascinating for me because Shakespeare is somebody, you hate him or love him, you can't ignore him.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
So before we go on to talk more about the book, I want you to tell about yourself and the work that you do.
Sure. Thank you so much, Manali, for having me here. We've had a session earlier, and I remember we had a blast doing it. So I hope that we will have an even bigger blast today. And thank you so much for inviting me all over again. I have loved your writing as well. I found it such a delight to go through your writing because it is so simple and so beautiful, and you just breathe through it. It's not a strain to read, and so you want to read more of it. As for me, I have been writing for a very long time, maybe ever since I was 10 years old, which was in the last century sometime. And I started with poetry, and I went on to, actually my first book was one on non-fiction, because being an army wife, I thought I would give my views across. So I wrote this book called Arms and the Woman, which was definitely a piece of non-fiction. And then I went on to my Shadow series, which started with what you mentioned, Shadow in the Mirror. At that time, I had no idea I was going to write a series, but then it went on to two other books called Where Shadows Follow and Shadows Never Lie. And all these are thrillers. The last two are thriller short stories. And I enjoy writing thrillers. But then I guess I haven't stopped there because I went on to write the Panchatantra for children and a biography of my mother, who's an educationist, called Defying Destiny. And today I'm here with Shakespeare, which of course, Shakespeare has always been a great, one of my great loves. I know a lot of people don't relate to him because I think he's very wordy, but when you actually go to what he has written, there is so much in life that he conveys. So that is why I'm here today. Thank you so much, Manali.
Yes, you have already shown us the book cover, and now to introduce the audience further into the book, I'm going to read out a few passages. And you have adapted and rewritten 10 of his plays. I'm going to read out my favorite retelling of yours, which is The Taming of the Shrew. So before I read it out, would you like to share with us how you went about writing them? And how did you choose only these many plays? Yeah. Because he has done works so extensive. I'm sure it must have been difficult to pick a few.
Yes, I think not very difficult because I have my favorites. My favorites are Julius Caesar, Macbeth, Merchant of Venice. Taming of the Shrew, I've always enjoyed the theme of it. Not so much the play, but the theme of it, because I've always found it very funny. So I knew my favorites. So I knew I had to write about those, and then I added on to the ones which I thought I liked a little more than the others, and then so I got this collection of 10, and I think that's how I did this entire thing.
Oh, okay. So without further ado, I'm going to read out a few passages from The Taming of the Shrew. There was once a lord who came across a man named Christopher Sly in a tavern on the English countryside. She had broken a few glasses, quarrelled with the hostess of the alehouse, and then passed out. The lord decided to have some fun with the drunk tinker. He ordered his men to carry Sly to his home, dress him up, and finally adorn his finger with rings and feed him with delicacies. I'm not going to read out the passage because I don't really know how to do that. They were to treat him like a lord who had recovered from his insanity over the past 15 years. He also ordered his young page, Bartholomew, to disguise himself as Sly's wife and pretend to be the lady of the house. Just then, a troop of players arrived there. The lord asked them to entertain the man, all the while putting on a straight face and treating him as a lord. The troupe played their parts well, including the lord himself, who pretended to be a servant. Finally, Christopher Sly was convinced that he was a lord who had a lady wife. Together, they would watch the play put on by the above-mentioned players. The play opened in the city of Padua, where Lucentio had come along with his servant Tranio. Lucentio was an erudite young man educated in Florence and Pisa, who wanted to further his learning at the University of Padua. As they talked, they were interrupted by a commotion. I'm not going to read out further because, reading it would make me laugh. So there is a lot of confusion that's happening here already in the first two pages itself.
Yes, Shakespeare is a confusion master, if I may say so.
Yes, definitely. And, I'm already laughing in my head. I'm already laughing thinking about what's going to unfold later in the story. But the way you have, simplified it, that's something, I want to commend you on. And
Thank you.
you have made it very easy to understand for readers of all ages. If I am able to understand it, I'm sure the people who have never read Shakespeare will be able to understand it far better.
Thank you so much.
Kudos
Thank
on
you,
that.
Manali.
And based on my reading, I have a few questions for you. My first question to you is, I have read both your fiction and non-fiction, and I have also read your blog post extensively. So I want to understand is, you have written both fiction and non-fiction. Tell us about the developmental phase of each genre, and also how the audience reception to each book has been different or similar.
That's a wonderful question, Manali. I have written, like I said, I started with nonfiction, went on to fiction. Now, I think the whole process of this is very, very different. Let me start with fiction. Now, fiction, you have to have a kernel of an idea, and then from that idea, you develop the entire story. It's all in there, in your imagination. You can let your imagination run riot, and you can do what you want with your characters, with your book, with your setting. It doesn't make a difference. So there is only one idea or a few ideas that you carry on working on, and so that is, it's all like a piece of embroidery that you start stitching. You stitch and stitch, and when it is complete, you must have this beautiful bedspread in front of you, the tapestry in front of you. So that is what fiction is. It comes. You don't need to really worry about too many people, because you know that it's all coming from within you. And fiction can sometimes be stranger than life itself. So it's okay. You can write anything. With non-fiction, that is definitely not the case. You already have a body of work that you need to move on from, and you have to be very, very sure of your facts. Because there are so many people there who know the facts, and they are not going to hesitate to pull your ear in case something goes wrong. So as far as non-fiction goes, there's a lot of research that goes on, and everything has to be factually correct, and you have to do everything that you do in fiction as far as your manuscript goes, your editing goes, your writing goes, your polishing goes. But then there's an extra bit of research that has to make it authentic as well. So I think that is the difference between non-fiction and fiction. But let me tell you, both are equally easy or equally difficult to write. I don't think, there is a gradation that says this is more difficult and this is easier. No, I think writing has to come from within. So either way, I think there's a lot of hard work involved. And you were asking about the readers. I think what happens is every book has a niche audience. So the first book, which was called Arms of the Woman, was a book from the perspective of an army wife. So I think a lot of army people got into it and read it, especially young brides who wanted to know what the army was all about. My thrillers had a wider audience because I think everybody kind of enjoys, sitting on the edge of their seats. So it had a wider audience. My biography on my mother that again had a niche audience because it was people whose hearts she had touched who read the book. Shakespeare, I hope, has a wide audience because it's not only children I've written for. Yes, the ages are between 9 and 14, but a lot of adults have come to me and said, hey, I don't think we could get through Shakespeare in original, so we would love to read your stories. So I hope that I have a wider audience in that. That's about
I'm sure you will. As I mentioned earlier, Shakespeare is not somebody you can easily ignore. I mean, he has been adapted also so widely. I'm sure people who have not read the original at all also know about him and know about his body of.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Which brings me to my next question. Is retelling an already popular piece of literature a risky business? I mean, what must one keep in mind while doing so? Like you have adapted somebody like Shakespeare, and I am sure it must have taken you a lot of pros and cons in your mind whether I should do it or not. And so tell us about that.
Yes, absolutely. Because Shakespeare, I think, is the greatest playwright in the whole world. I mean, he's known. I don't think there are very few people who've not heard of Shakespeare, whether they've read him or not. So I think it is very risky when you actually start writing, adapting his plays. First of all, his plays are well known because of the adaptations. Even if people have not read the original, there are so many movies and books and other plays and references, so many phrases that have been used by him that are in common parlance. So everybody knows everything about Shakespeare, practically everything about Shakespeare. So what do? When everything is known, how do you make your piece unique? I think what I needed to do was, first of all, read the entire thing, take out the bits that needed to be put in, and then put it in my own unique style of writing. That took some time because I had to work and rework. I could not make it colloquial because Shakespeare cannot be made colloquial as such. But I still had to use the Queen's English, and yet I had to simplify it, demystify it for young readers, young or old readers. And so that is what I did. I brought it down to the basic form, wrote out the story in my own words, and then I started putting the stories together. And what I decided is, it was not enough just to do the stories. I needed to take actual quotes from the plays. So for every play, what I did was I took the quotes that made sense, that it was like a necklace that was being put together. I put those quotes wherever required so that people would understand the story, and then they would read the quote and say, oh, this is what was the original. And then it would go on. So it was like, I was putting the whole thing together. And so every story has a large number of quotes from the original as well. This actually may help people to want to know more about the original Shakespeare as well. So that was one thing that I did with a lot of deliberation, because it took me a lot of time just to make sure that the format that I wanted was out there, the format that was understandable. And secondly, when you know the stories, everything is out there. I had to make my take unique. There had to be something extra for a person to want to pick up my book and say, oh, I think she offers a little more. Maybe we should pick this up to understand Shakespeare better. So I think that is is what I mean. I did have my qualms actually writing. I mean, doing this, but my publisher, Dipankar Mukherjee, had a lot of faith in me, and that I think carried me along because I love Shakespeare. I've always loved, I reading and watching. So I said, if I love it, why can't I try and make others love it as well? So that is, I think, that is my only reason for doing this book. If I can make the plays of Shakespeare a little more popular among the youngsters and people who want to understand Shakespeare, I think I would have achieved my aim.
Wonderfully put. I mean, the way you said it, I think that's very important. First important factor is that you yourself have to feel close to the original text and the original developer of that story. And that's when, you know, the cons keep getting cut down. you, you start
Yes,
thinking about, if
yes,
I love it this much, I'll have to take that risk.
absolutely, absolutely. What is life without taking a few risks anyway, right?
Right, true. And I'm sure the way you said it, you've already mentioned the challenges, but I'm sure it was a much longer process in execution. You know, uh, trying to make the Shakespearean language easier to understand for the young readers, especially, and while keeping it true to the English language, must have been a really extensive process for you.
Yes. And here I must mention that I had a number of young readers, children from our school and from different schools who read the stories, and they let me know what were the bits that were, you know, a little difficult to understand, what were the fun bits, the beta readers. So that really helped
Ah,
me. You know, that really did help me.
okay.
And of course, all the
So
illustrations
that,
also are done by the children of our school, and so it makes this book doubly special. You know, because
yeah.
my own have done it.
That's wonderful. And you have given out a great tip for those people listening, and to me also, that, you know, when you are adapting something, it's always better to have a third person perspective also of your target audience. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Deepti, for answering my questions. And now the floor is yours.
Thank you. Now my turn. My turn to do the interrogation, right? Okay. So Monali, I finished reading your book as well, and love and melodrama. Mellow in brackets MELLOW. And the first thing that struck me was your earlier book also was called Love bracket Triangle. You come up with such wonderful titles. How do you do that?
So with this particular series, I always had it in mind to have, you know, fun with homophones and tongue twisters, because I was experimenting with love among, you know, young adults and teenagers. I wanted it to come out as quirky titles and, you know, attract the attention of the young readers, and the target audience was always people in their late teens and early 20s. So yeah, that was the inspiration. And I myself am a person who, you know, enjoys playing around with words. So I think that came out hopefully well.
Oh, yes, very well, very well. In fact, if I can just give a short introduction of your works, and then I will also read a little bit from there's one chapter I really loved, so I would love to read from that. So before that, if I can just tell, I know everybody knows you, but maybe if there's somebody who wants to know a little more about you, here it goes. Manali Desai needs no introduction. She's a full-time freelance writer and editor come blogger. She has won numerous awards for her writing. Her short story, The Walls Have Ears, won the Best Short Story Award in 2019. She also won the Best Author Fiction Award and the Book of the Year Award in 2021 for her debut novel, Love Triangle. Her latest book, titled Love and Melodrama, is also garnering accolades from readers galore. This book reads like a Bollywood rom-com with all its twists and turns. It showcases romance and friendship as two sides of the same coin. Relationships play a significant role throughout the narrative, which is peppered with lyrics from Hindi songs and provoking in the readers a sense of deja vu as they look forward to that happily ever after moment. So wonderful,
Thank you so
Manali.
much.
The book actually touches the heart, and it also has those deja vu moments. So when I was going through your book, I especially loved one chapter which is called She Rose. Now, I know you know why that is so, because it is so beautifully expressed and so beautifully done. And it affected me with a powerful writing style and its relevance to the modern age. So I'm going to just read, I'm not reading the whole thing, just a few things here and there. And I urge all the readers to pick up the book and read the entire thing. I would love to read the whole thing, but I'm sorry, due to paucity of time, I guess I'm going to read a little. So it starts with, to the mother who thought, I'll follow the same parenting style for all my children. Instead of, I must treat my daughter differently than my son. To the teacher who thought, we must let the children mingle. Instead of, the boys, the girls must be taught to stay away from one another. To the friend who said, are you sure about him? Don't settle just because everyone else is getting married. Focus on your career and identity instead of, so when are you getting married? You're the only one left now. Don't wait too long. To the wife who demanded, but this is your house and family too. Why aren't you contributing beyond the finances? Instead of assuming, I'm a woman, so it's my duty to take care of the family and kids and his responsibility to earn and change the course. And this changed the course of household dynamics, one person and family at a time. To all the women who disprove the stereotypes and either break free from it themselves or help other women get away by smashing the patriarchy, by breaking the shackles of misogyny, by disrupting age-old notions of sexism, to us all, we are she-rose. We are all the she who rose. Together we can, we must, and we will, for a better today than yesterday, for a better tomorrow than today, for one, for all. I love
Thank you.
that.
Thank you so much.
Manali, so beautiful, so beautiful.
Thank you so
So,
much. It's
yes,
so much.
I mean, how long did you take to write that? Because there is so much to it. There is so much there. How long did you take to write that?
This poem, it took me about
Yes.
5 days to 1 week. And in fact, interesting trivia around that is I actually wrote it for this Women's Day, 8th of March, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
It was written for a Women's Day blog hop that I was participating in. A fellow blogger was hosting it and I was participating in it. And you also know her, Swarnali. She was hosting the Women's Day blog hop and I participated in that. So this was originally written for that particular Women's Day blog hop, and then I cannot tell you, Deepti, how much love it received. On the blog post, I received the maximum number of views that I have ever received on any blog post, and the comments that came in, and somehow I got the notion that when the book was coming to its climax at that point, and somehow I was just very sure that this is going to work very well for Aisha's character. You know Aisha's character from Love Triangle
Yes,
also.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
I was very sure.
yes.
Yeah, I was very sure it will fit very well with Aisha's character and Gayatri's storyline, which was going on that track
Patrice.
also. So yeah,
It was beautiful. Yes, I'm not surprised with the number of views and comments you got, because that it struck when I read it. It went straight into my heart. So, shall I also ask you a few questions? Now that we've gone through the poem, I'm sure people want to know a little more about how your latest book developed. So, poetry and fiction have played a very vital role in your life, in your writing life. And what is remarkable is that you keep your writing style very simple. There are no long, drawn-out words where you have to rush for a dictionary. I myself believe in keeping life and words simple. So I think wonderful job, and yet you managed to say everything you want to say within those few words. Now, how do you do that? And what is your thinking process when you think of these different genres that you are putting together? Do you have a different one for poetry, a different one for romance, a different one for prose? And why did you choose your latest story with a background of Bollywood? Was there was Bollywood was that used as was it an inspirational idea, or was it used as a prop to make your movie your sorry, yes, I said movie, it's very much like a movie, but your story move ahead.
Okay, so I am going to answer the last part of your question first. Why Bollywood is such an important, character in itself, if I can say so. It's like a character in itself in the entire story of Gayatri and Varun. Uh, I deliberately chose it because when I was writing Gayatri as a supporting character in Love Triangle, at that point itself, I got, I had an inkling that this girl is going to be a drama queen. She's somebody who loves, going out and out.
Yes,
And
yes.
if I had to, put her as a main character, I did not. When I was writing her as a supporting character, I did not have it in mind that I am going to someday, make her a main character in my upcoming book. But in my head, I already knew what kind of a personality she was. In my head, she was already real, and I knew her likes and dislikes.
Hmm.
So after that point, it was just developing her into further character arc, giving her a story of her own, giving her and personality of her own, adding bits here and there. So yes, when I was writing Love Triangle, I knew Gayatri is somebody who loves movies, who loves drama, and if I ever have to focus on her, Bollywood is going to be a major part of that story. So that was always there. So
Oh yes.
yeah, when I started actually writing love and melodrama, the first chapter itself, I knew that Gayatri's story has to begin like this. It has to have a movie in it. And if you remember the prologue, in the prologue itself, we show her watching a movie, a classic movie, which
Yes,
she's enjoying, and she's enjoying it so much that she's annoying the people around her.
yes, absolutely, yes, yes.
So from that point onwards, I knew that if Varun has to come into Gayatri's life, he either has to have an equal liking for Bollywood movies, or he has to pretend to like movies in order to woo her. So that's how Bollywood became a part of the story.
Yes.
If I had to bring
Okay.
these two characters together, one of whom is a Bollywood lover, and the other one is not so much of a lover. I had to bring Bollywood into the picture for them to come closer. So that's how Bollywood
Hmm.
became such an important part of the entire story. No, for me it was not a prop. For me, it was as important as any other character in the story, because if not for Bollywood, I don't think Varun and Gayatri would have gone beyond the first meeting.
Uh, yes, I agree. Hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and to answer the second part, the first part of your question, writing poetry and fiction, how do I, choose what to write, and how do I make the differentiation and make it simple? I'm
Hmm.
only going to answer very simply that I am my first audience, and I have always liked stories which do not make me think very deep, which are easy on my mind, which are easy on my eyes. I don't have to refer to the thesaurus every now and then. So I think that forms the basis of my stories. If I myself as a reader and a consumer am like that, I'm going to make sure that my readers and my audience also don't have to face the problems that I have to face. So that's how my stories are so simple, because I'm my first audience and I also consume stories and poems like that. That's how it converts into my own stories and poems. Which, as you
Wonderful.
mentioned, you in your
Hmm.
answer also, you have loved Shakespeare so much that it becomes very
Yes,
easy to translate for you into paper and into stories
yes,
and into your
yes.
adaptations. So if you are not your first audience, it's not going to work out. I don't think it's going to work out very well.
I know, I know. I agree. You have to love your own writing for others to love it as well, I think. That is very, very important.
Yes,
And for that, you have to be a very hard taskmaster on yourself first.
yes, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderfully said, Manali. Uh, I have one more question. when I read your book, when I came to the end, I was left gasping. I'm not going to divulge why, because I don't want to, give anything away. Now, do you believe that actually your protagonist ends up as a true achiever, a wonderful, strong person? Um, do you believe that adversity and hardships actually bring out the true character of a person? And at any stage, did you have any, did you feel that maybe you should have had another ending to your story?
Oh my God. Actually, now that you ask me that question, I am, forced to confess that now I'm thinking that I should have had a different ending because the number of hate messages that I'm getting after the release of the book,
Oh,
I can't tell you. Deepti. My
oh no.
DMs are flooding with questions like why did you do this? You should have, given us what we
I
expected, given us,
I know, I know. Shoo, 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 shoo. I'm trying very hard not to
and
give anything away.
yes. But one another honest confession that I have to make here is that with both the novels in the series so far, before I began actually writing the story, the ending was very clear to me for both the stories. So I never had it in my mind to give it a different ending. Even while, the idea was conceived in my head and while I was,
Hmm.
doing the execution of the story, never at any point did I think that, I should give it a different ending because the ending came to me first for both the stories. From that point onwards, it was like, just justifying the end to the means.
I know.
So, no,
Yes,
I never
yes,
thought about that.
yes.
And talking about the adversities and challenges that Gayatri had to face, I think those played a very important part in developing her character at various points. Firstly, it was about her dance and, her parents and the society
Um,
not accepting,
yes,
yeah, not understanding her passion for dance, not letting her passion develop into something, which can be uh, something of a lucrative profession. So that was her first adversity that she had to face. Then, she had to undergo some severe circumstances during the COVID also. And that
yes,
played such a pivotal
yes.
part in her and Varun's relationship also. So
It
that
did.
that
Yes,
adversity also made her realize a few things and made her stronger as a woman. Not just stronger, I would say it also made her more vulnerable. She became exposed to the kind of losses one can face in life and how one has to come out of those. And then during the
absolutely.
later stages of life when she becomes a dancer at a global level and receives global recognition by the end of the story. I think by that time she has seen so much of life that she has not only come to accept it, but she has come to understand that life has to go on.
Yes,
So yeah, I think adversity did make her like that, and also we also as people have to accept. I'm not saying that adversity has to happen for you to become a better person, but if it comes, you can't just stop living or stop
yes,
doing your duties that you are expected to do.
absolutely. And I think that one letter in the middle, that came, that was such a beautiful letter. I think that really opened our eyes to a lot of things, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
and her equation with her parents also, we see her grow, that also grow through the course of the story.
yes,
It has always been
yes,
rocky, but then, at the later stage, she becomes very friendly with her mother. And that only
yes,
comes after
absolutely.
the COVID tragedy
Yes,
happens with her. She
the
undergoes
tragedy.
some
Yes,
things.
I know. Yes.
Yeah.
So she's gone through a lot actually.
Yeah. And I think it I mean, she, of course, we are all sorry for the losses that everyone had to face during the COVID times. But yeah, that there are some things that you can't help but accept and move on.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. COVID also played a very important role in your book. It really turned a lot of lives around, as it did in real life as well. So,
Yes, it did.
one last tiny question: are you going to write about Nalini next?
Yeah, yes, I am. It's going to be Nalini and Sharad.
So, what? Yes, Nalini and Sharat. So one more book to look forward to. That's
Another
wonderful. Thank
another
you.
time to
Another quirky title as well.
yes, definitely. I am not going to, promise when. I'm not going to promise the timeline, but yes, I you can expect it sometime in the near future or far. Let's not put too much
Absolutely,
pressure.
absolutely. We look forward to it. Whenever, take your time. We look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Deepti. Now we come to the most interesting part of the session and my favorite part of the episode, which is the rapid fire round. How we'll do this, Deepti, is that I will ask you one question and then you ask me one question. So we'll do
Okay.
back and forth. Okay.
Oh,
So
all
my
right.
first question to
All
you
right.
is, just a second. Let me just open the list of questions. I think somebody was appreciating you introducing me to them. So I
Oh,
think it was Bhavna.
oh,
And
Bhavna Rajiv. Yes, Bhavna is my sister, by the way. Yes, and she
hello,
wanted to
Bhavna.
be on in this session, so she's asking about the sequel as well,
Uh, yes, it will be a
which you
spin-off,
just answered.
and I've already written. Yes, I've already written two books in the series, and this will be the third. And I don't know, we could have more also, but as far as the plan in my head goes, it will be the final one.
Never say die. Never
Yes,
say die.
exactly. Okay, my first rapid fire question to you is: if you had to read only one genre for the rest of your life, what would be it and why?
Oh, that's the easiest question. It would be thrillers all the way because I love being on the edge of my seat all the time, and I love racking my brains to see who's the murderer and did the butler do it and the rest of it. So thrillers. No, nothing beyond.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, yeah. I also love thrillers.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
Okay. So my question is, oh, okay. It's kind of, what is your preferred genre? Is it romance, thriller, or anything else?
No, no. Besides romance and thrillers, I think my third preferred genre would be fantasy and science fiction. So,
Fantasy.
yeah, romance and thrillers are like on the top.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think because I have read romance myself extensively, I think that helped me develop my and write my own romance rom-com novels, two rom-com novels.
Hmm, hmm, No,
Okay.
romance writing is
Tell us
it's a very
about
specialized kind of writing. No, I said romance writing
yes.
is a very specialized kind of writing. Not everybody can do it. Let me tell you. You know,
True, true. People think that writing romance is the easiest, but I
yeah.
don't think so. Yeah,
I don't
I
think
mean,
I don't
it
think.
require a lot of character development.
Yes, 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 and it has to be made believable also, plausible. That is very
Yeah.
difficult. No.
Okay, Deepti, my next question to you is: tell us about an incident that inspired you to become a writer.
Okay. When I was growing up, my home was strewn with books. My parents would read, my grandparents would read, my sisters would read. Um, I think if given a choice, even our dogs would have started reading. So when you have so many books around, I think the obvious thing is to start, saying, "Oh, I can also maybe write. Let me try." And then you start writing. I think I wrote my first poem when I was 10 years old, and I think that is one thing. That is what made me read. We all read
Yeah.
in the family.
Okay. Yeah. Surprisingly, though, for me it was like finding my own path into reading because none of my close family members read. None of them are
Oh,
readers. Like, yeah.
okay. So you had to find
Yeah,
your own
so
path.
for me it happened accidentally. Yes, I had to find my even now. I mean, nothing against my family and close friends, but none of them have read my works. None of them.
Okay. Oh, okay. I did see a very cute line to your husband you had written, saying the day you read one book of mine. I think it was in your previous book, not in this one, but the day you read a book of mine, something I still remember. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, yes, husbands do take some time to read their wives' books, let me tell you.
Yeah, but we have to keep the hope alive. I mean, we have to
I know.
keep
Hope
pushing
alive.
our luck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep the flag and the hope and everything alive. So here is my second question for you. If you had a choice between writing or doing a talk show with authors where you're also showcased, which would you choose?
Oh wow! Just a second. Hello. Yeah, I think I lost you
Yeah,
for. Okay, so I'm already, doing a talk show with authors
I
every
know.
week, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, I the kind of community building that has happened, and the kind of learning that I have received is irreplaceable. So I would always prefer doing that over, write. I mean, of course, I would choose writing first, but if I had to choose between the two, I would say I would build on the community first and use those lessons as, my steps to become a better writer. So, yeah,
Yeah.
building on the
That's
community
beautiful.
first, definitely.
Yeah. That's beautifully said. Beautifully said. I agree. Beautifully said.
Okay, my next question to you is a song or a book title that defines your personality. Justify your choice.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Basically I'm a Sagittarian. Sagittarians are supposed to be, quite crazy and kind of optimistic even when they shouldn't be. And another thing is I love eating eggs. Eggs. If you give me
Hmm.
eggs 3 times a day, I would happily eat them. Except for the cholesterol and things like that. Otherwise, I would eat eggs all day long. So I would probably call a book if I want. If I would call it maybe Sunny Side Up because I love my eggs and I love optimism. So both, and I am a Sagittarian. So you put all these things together, I think that would kind of be the ideal thing, I think.
I think that would be a very justified title. Yes, your personality is also like that, sunny side up. You're always, lively and fun to talk to, always smiling, always optimistic. And yes,
Cute.
your love for eggs also justifies it. So, wonderful. Over to you.
Oh, what to me? Okay. So, all right. Now, if you had to choose a pen name, a pen,
Hmm.
what would it be and why?
I think it would be Angel Priya because I belong to a generation where the internet had just begun to boom, and people were jumping left, right, and center to get their attention from the opposite sex behind the screen, so that they wouldn't have to talk to them face to face. So, and at that time, we had a lot of Angel Priya profiles coming up where boys were pretending to be girls to get closer to uh, uh, you know uh, the female sex.
Yes,
So I would
yes.
definitely use Angel Priya because a lot of people from my generation would understand the emotion behind it, and they would be attracted to
Okay,
read more the
okay,
stories. What is it?
okay, okay. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, actually, the world has become a dangerous place, hasn't it?
Yes,
No?
definitely. Uh,
Yeah.
so
So,
Angel Priya is like it's not a name; it's an emotion for people of my generation. They would have funny
okay,
stories. They would have dark stories.
okay. Now you know which generation I belong to because I thought it was a name.
No, no. Angel Priya is a pseudonym that boys used to use it as a pseudonym to create profiles on social media
Oh,
and connect with women and talk to them
okay.
pretending that they are also women.
Women and everything. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Oh, impersonation basically.
Yes, yes, impersonation.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
My
Got
next
it, got
question
it.
to you okay, my next question to you is an author that you would love to collaborate with and why?
Okay. Living, dead. What I mean, any author.
No, no, any author, living or dead.
Okay, okay. I mean, since I love thrillers, obviously be Agatha Christie, and it could also be Mary Higgins Clark. The two of them
Hmm.
have written such wonderful beautiful thrillers. Agatha Christie, of course, is the cozy mystery type where, you carry on and on and on and you try to guess the murderer, and the most unlikely person is always the murderer. But Mary Higgins Clark has a very different way. Sometimes you can't gauge who the murderer is. So I think to put the two together, I would love to collaborate, give my ideas as well, and have this cozy threesome where we come out with these books which nobody can fathom. Nobody can guess the ending. So,
Wow, that would be one book to, keep the thriller lovers on the edge of their seats.
yes. That's always an aim.
I
Never try, kind of know who the murderer is or I think, very important.
Yeah, that's like the test of a good thriller, Till the end moment, you don't know who it is, and you are like, ये तो मैंने सोचा ही नहीं था.
Exactly. That's it, when somebody says, "Oh, I didn't see that coming," then oh, thank God, you done it.
Yeah,
If you made
you've done
a
it.
who
You've
done
done
it
it well.
without anybody doing. Okay, so I have one more question for you. Would you like to be a short-term best-selling writer or a writer whose works will live on forever?
Definitely a writer whose works live on forever. I don't want to be somebody who's, a one book success and is forgotten. And also, as an author, something that I have understood is that you cannot rely on just one book to, be a well-known name. If you want to be known as an author, you need to have an extensive body of work, and for that, the second one is only the better option.
Better option. I agree. Yes, because there are so many people who used to write in the past and who suddenly come back. Long after they're no more, their books have come into prominence and they're enduring. So I think yes, that would be my choice as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
Last question to you. Hello. You were
yes.
saying, sorry. You were saying something.
No. I up over to you.
Yes. Okay. The last thing that you ate or drank is now a part of your either your book, or your story, or a blog post. Tell us what would the title and story be.
Okay. What did they eat? Okay. Anyway, I think I had carrots and peas and potato salad and all that. So, okay, you want the title of the book? The title of my next book? Is that what you want?
Title.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then I would probably have I love
what that story would be.
what story? What the character would do? Okay. So I probably would have I love peas again. Like eggs, I love my peas also, carrots and peas. So I would probably call my book Easy Peasy. That's what sounds crazy. Yes, Easy Peasy. And it would be all about this character who sets out to to look for a hidden treasure, and the whole world tells her that no, you're not going to get anywhere with it. And yet, finally, my character gets up there, climbs up all the mountains, doesn't drown in any of the deep seas, and gets there. And then from the top of the mountain, she says, "Easy peasy," and that would be the end. Very
Oh wow!
very
That's
funny.
really sounds like a crazy quirky story. I would read it. I mean, if you can work on it, please do.
Next book coming. Yes.
Okay.
You sprung this on me, so I had to say something.
No, but I also give you inspiration for your next book and story. You can also always turn it into a blog post, if not a book.
Yes, absolutely. I could do that. Yes. I think both of us love our blog posts, right? I love reading yours. I think you said you enjoy reading mine. So we are bloggers to the hilt.
Yes.
I know.
Yes. Over to you, Deepti. Are you done with all your questions?
Yes. An author you would like to have a cup of tea with, and have a nice conversation.
Okay, this has always been like, I always thought I can do this because I know that, this particular author is very approachable and you can always have a good conversation with him. It's Ruskin Bond. And I really want to do that
Hmm.
someday very soon,
Oh yes.
hopefully.
Oh
Manifesting
yes.
it.
Oh yes. Oh yes, he's wonderful because to tell you the truth, I had the good fortune of meeting him when I was in Chennai. I was a freelance journalist there, and I actually got the opportunity of meeting him. And oh, he was such a delight, such a gentleman, and as sweet as his stories, and a thorough gentleman. So I'm sure one day you will also, be able to meet him and you will bond with him because he's that kind of person.
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, we're looking forward to that. And I will be writing, an extensive blog post whenever that happens.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I got two articles out of that. I did an interview with him, and then I did a newspaper article also, which because he had some very cute jokes. So I turned one of those jokes into a little newspaper article, and so there's a lot you
One,
can write about him.
great, great. Okay. I think that brings us to the end of the questions that we had for each other. Do we have any audience questions? Bhavna has been such a sweetheart. She has been, commenting and sending us hearts. She has
Uh,
told about you. She was always great at narrating scary stories. She's talking about you.
yeah. Because I have two younger sisters. Bhavna's the youngest of us all, and I used to put them. I know we used to sit in dark rooms, and I used to scare the hell out of them by all these ghostly, ghastly thriller stories, and which they sometimes they don't even forgiven me for those.
Bhavna is also saying both of you are such fun writers. Thank you so much, Bhavna.
Thank you.
Okay, Deepti, this was, as always, fun to talk to you and such a lively session. Thank you for joining me. And this video will be up on my Instagram and my YouTube channel. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Deepti. Have a great Sunday
Thank
ahead.
you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Manali, for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I would love to do this as often as possible because it's great fun. And thank you to all those who joined us as well. Been a lovely session.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye, Manali. Have a good day.
Bye.